Let's start. Watch the previous parts of recap for better understanding. Link is in the description. At the start of the movie, a man is shown who was entrapped by Jigsaw. He was a killer who was sentenced to 5 years. The injustice was obvious. Jigsaw wanted to implement his justice while not observing it. He was fastened with a table tightly and big blade pendulum had been set above him. Coming down gradually, that blade pendulum will continue to cut him. He had to crush both of his hands if he wants to save from this trap. He will be released after crushing his both hands. He has 60 seconds for this work. That pendulum blade begins to come down as his time starts. He is frightened enough, and he has to sacrifice his both hands unwillingly. In spite of this, blade pendulum does not stop and begins to cut him. That blade continues to cut him, and he is dismembered at the first sight, and he is dead horrifically. At the same time, it is noticed that someone is witnessing it, hiding himself. Now this trap has not operated according to Jigsaw's rule, so it is clear this is not Jigsaw's trap, but it was the trap of someone else. Now the Part 4 ending is shown where a detective Peter shoots the nurse's husband, and Hoffman leaves after locking him there. Being caught there, Peter is upset. Here he discovers a secret door. Opening that door, he gets tape recorder behind it and he turns it on. There was a recording of Jigsaw who was forbidding him to go ahead, but he steps forward through that secret way, ignoring the warning of Jigsaw. He encounters a pig-masked person who knocks him out. Waking up, he finds his head sealed in a glass box. He finds himself entrapped. That glass box begins to fill with water gradually. At the first sight, it is filled with the water. Here Peter is sure that his death is inevitable. It was the punishment for him by Jigsaw, because he had violated the rules of Jigsaw. Peter had got that every action is useless now, so he pricks a pen into his neck, calming himself. Police approach there and Hoffman steps outside taking the daughter of that nurse. Everyone was thinking the kid was dead by Jigsaw, but he had concealed her somewhere. But Jigsaw does not harm kids. Here Hoffman was pretending that he has rescued himself with that girl. He says, there is not any survivor except both of them. But his statement is proved false when he observes that police officers have rescued Peter. Hoffman gets worried seeing Peter alive. Afterward, Jigsaw's file is closed with the promotion of Hoffman. Lawyer hands over the last memory of Jigsaw to his wife, which is a box. What was in the box remains secret. Whatever was in the box considered important, because his wife is astonished seeing it. Hoffman finds an envelope in his office. When he opens it, he glimpses a statement, "I know who are you." Hoffman is disturbed, reading that statement. Hoffman moves to that room where all proofs were safe, and he steals Peter's mobile from there. Then Hoffman comes to know that female detective is no more as he visits the hospital, because in the last part, being exploded, Billy's flesh's parts had entered into that detective which causes her death. Peter tells Hoffman angrily that he has given name of Hoffman before dying, and he considers him accountable, because Hoffman was guilty in the eyes of Peter, as how can anyone be escaped from Jigsaw's trap without being harmed, because it was not acceptable. Hoffman does not take it important to reply him. Reproaching him, he leaves from there. Peter senior officer arrives there as Hoffman leaves. Senior officer takes the duty back of this case from Peter, allowing him the medical leave. He also tells Peter that police department has closed the file of Jigsaw, but FBI is on its investigation till now. Hoffman reaches at a secret location where a game has been set by him, taking the seat of Jigsaw. He was continuing his process of his game. That game is started while showing its miniature. There were 5 people whose necks were chained which were connected with a cable. The keys of their locks had been put in the glass box placed in front of them, but the timer will be started of that person who moves forward to take it, and they have only 60 seconds to rescue themselves from that trap. If they did not open their locks according to the given time, then their necks will be cut off with the pull of wires, which are connected with blade at behind side, and they will be dead. They will have to complete more than 1 tests for survival. They are instructed so they may follow. They all will be united today. They are instructed as they will act against their intuition. In this way, they may survive. They are connected with one another today. They could save themselves even while sitting there. There were fixed explosives on the timer in that room. In case of not leaving the room, they will all be dead. Hearing it, a boy among them gets frightened and runs to his key, and their timer is started now. Here they have to use their power. There was most powerful man who gets success to take out his key above all. After this, 3 survivors take out their keys one by one, and they are released before the completion of time. But a girl cannot free herself because of that boy's haste. As a result, she is decapitated. They all move ahead as the next door room opens. A girl picks up all the keys wisely. Then Peter is shown who was on leave. In spite of it, he was investigating this case, because he wanted to reveal the reality of Hoffman before the world. There was much information which file was being checked by him. This information was going to become the source of his help. There was a long list of Jigsaw's victims. Peter observes in that file that 3rd victim of Jigsaw was that person who was shown at the beginning of the movie. Reading this file, Peter is assured that Hoffman was with Jigsaw for a long time. That file was very complicated and also important for him, so he leaves, taking that Jigsaw's file. And he searches third victim of Jigsaw, who was that dying person at the start of the movie. That man had murdered a girl who was no one else but Hoffman's sister. Here it was revealed that man was ended by Hoffman, and there was not any chance of survival for him. Here Peter understands everything. Hoffman's victims approach in another room where the explosives in the timer had been adjusted. There were 4 locked chambers and their keys were in the high-adjusted beakers. But the most drastic thing was this: only 3 keys among 4 were available there. Before the completion of the time, they have to go inside the chamber taking the keys. Otherwise, they will be dead in the explosion. Here that man also shows his power, but he kills that obsessed boy before it. Because he did not think his survival important. Because he did not deserve it. He thought, only those 2 girls deserve for survival. He breaks all beakers and both girls pick their own keys. That man starts moving to chamber while lifting his key. Then a girl attacks him from the backside. Another boy goes inside the chamber, taking the key of that girl. And he is dead. Peter also comes to know that Hoffman had accompanied Jigsaw in every case exactly after the death of that man. Hoffman tried to imitate Jigsaw, but he himself was caught by Jigsaw. But Jigsaw had entrapped Hoffman in an uncomplicated trap, because he knew that Hoffman has been impressed by his work if he has imitated him. Jigsaw wished to be followed even by his rules if someone imitates him. Jigsaw explains Hoffman and also tells his own effective process to him. Jigsaw gives a chance to Hoffman like his other victims. That chance is to work with Jigsaw. At last, he agrees to work with Jigsaw. Hoffman accompanies Jigsaw in every trap after this meeting. This is the cause that Jigsaw succeeded to entrap many people. Hoffman was still accompanying Jigsaw, but he was assuring the senior officer that Peter is the companion of Jigsaw, and he will take his work further. And it was not hard to believe on it by senior officer, because Peter had disappeared from there, possessing all records of Jigsaw. Hoffman's victims reached their 3rd level. There were also explosives in the timer, and bathtub was also there. The next room door had 5 locks, and they had to switch off the 5 electric circuits, and they had to connect their wires to the bathtub in order to turn off them. They had no enough time, so they decide that a person will lie down on the bathtub, and they will unlock the room, connecting all wires with him. The death of that person was sure due to the electric current who will lie down in the bathtub, and no one is ready to offer his life to it, and they have to use their power here. A girl among them shows courage and others lie her down collaboratively in the bathtub after stabbing, and they connect all electric wires with her, and they got success to unlock that door before the completion of time. But Elaine girl in the bathtub is no more, and they both move forward. Jigsaw's wife visits senior officer, and informs that Peter is pursuing her. It is obvious as she was telling a lie, but the reason behind it remains out of sight, and senior officer's suspicion becomes firmer as Peter is the companion of Jigsaw. Peter was still investigating the crime case of Jigsaw. It is shown that Jigsaw had handed over his 5 victims' photos of continued game to Hoffman when he was taking his last breaths. It was difficult to escape for Peter, because he was Hoffman who had entrapped him, not anyone else. In spite of it, he escaped. According to Hoffman's plan, he will only be the survivor in Jigsaw's game. He will also rescue the life of that girl, so he will be well known in the eyes of the world. Hoffman wanted to provoke senior officer, saying Peter is the companion of Jigsaw. He was playing a psychological trick and also getting success in his plan. He starts tracing Peter's cell phone. Here it is also known that Peter's mobile was in the possession of Hoffman, which was switched off. Hoffman visits in that location where his game had been set by him. Switching on Peter's mobile, he puts it there. Hoffman's both victims reach at their last level. There was a big box having a beaker. They understand that the exit door will be unlocked after filling this beaker, but they did not know how will the beaker be filled. There were also the big blades on this box. It was clear that they had to fill that beaker with their blood. Here they could also use their power. It means other person may escape alive from there if one fills the beaker with his blood. But careful observation reveals that there were 5 holes in the machine. It means there was the capacity of 5 people. They were unable to understand the cause of it. In fact, they had to remain there 5 people. Then female survivor checks that her brought keys are the same and all locks can be unlocked with 1 key. At the 2nd level, 2 persons could also come in the chamber if they had 3 keys. Even 5 persons may survive at the 2nd level. And at the 3rd level, they had to connect 5 wires. Catching 1 by each, they could bear the little electric current. And they all 5 could return back alive while connecting it with a bathtub. And at this level, they could fill the beaker with their blood. And they all 5 could escape. Now they both have to fill the beaker with their, which was also difficult. Tracing the mobile of Peter, senior officer sets off his location. Peter reaches at that house which was seen in the part 2 while pursing Hoffman. Peter comes down through a secret door. On the other side, both begin to fill the beaker without wasting their time. Here all 5 persons had to work collaboratively. Regretfully, only 2 were working now. They fill that beaker before the accomplishment of the time. Senior officer also reaches at that location where Hoffman had conducted his game. Glimpsing the phone of Peter, officer's doubt is turned into a belief that Peter is the next companion of Jigsaw. Senior officer also encounters the both survivors who were the part of this game, and they come outside, crossing their last level. Going into a room, Peter finds a trap which was filled with pieces of glass. The kept tap recorder is played by Peter. While hearing it, Hoffman himself also reaches there. A fight is held between them and Peter locks Hoffman in that box, thinking as he has caught Hoffman. But he was wrong. Room's door begins to fall because that box was thrusting into the floor. It means Peter is going to die after being crushed. Here Peter had also ignored Hoffman as he had already done it, as he has to go into this box which will cause no life harm. Rather he will get some injury. But fate does not remain with him as before it did, and he is dead in reality. Contrarily, he is tagged with Jigsaw's partner, but Jigsaw's real partner was still survived. The end. Subscribe for more videos like this. Bye.